All right, everybody, check it out. I brought Hannah Kessler down to my studio, and we decided we're going to do a little bit of podcast. So why don't we do a podcast? You actually said, Hannah, you said to me that you wanted to interview me, right?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Yeah. And this is I thought it'd be kind of fun because I want to do this for my show, the Money Multiplier Podcast. But it's kind of cool that we're live right now. So everybody in your audience, you guys get the first glimpse.
That's right.
Before
I didn't tell you this too, but people messages or comments, and we can actually see them up on the screen.
Ooh, we could do like a live AMA. Ask me anything.
Live, yeah, absolutely. So
Top
it's
of
live
thing.
and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell me, Hannah, what should we talk about today?
Yes. Let me get into it first.
Okay, you do that.
Let's do this. Hello, Money Multipliers. Welcome back to another episode of the Money Multiplier Podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Kessler, and we ask ourselves, do our dollars make sense? So today's episode is going to be kind of a fun one because I get asked this question a lot, and who better to bring on than one of my mentors when it comes to the real estate game, investing, understanding money, money language. So today I am joined here by Mr. Larry Steinhouse. So what's going on, man?
That's me. I'm Larry Steinhouse.
Larry Steinhouse from Langhorne, PA.
Well, yeah, Langhorne. Langhorne's nothing. Bucks County, PA is better, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also the CEO of Investor Schooling.
Yes.
Did you know that?
I did know that.
I know. I'm so excited that you knew that.
Because, and actually, Larry, you and I have been doing a lot of filming today.
Yeah, we've been filming all day. Matter of fact, my voice is gone. It's gone froggy.
Froggy?
And
Actually,
I'm not happy that my voice is froggy.
you need water?
No, I might have a cough drop if I need one. But, look, my voice is froggy, but my voice is froggy because you and I have been making videos all day long.
Mm-hmm.
We're making videos for this upcoming event. We can talk about that now. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, let's talk about it now. So moneygamelive.com, Tampa, Florida, March 1st and 2nd. And then also VIP Day on the 28th, which I really want y'all to be there. VIP Day is going to be probably one of my most favorite days just because it's more of an intimate setting. So
yeah, we're going to have fun with the VIPs. So we're going to put them all in a private limousine coach, and we're going to take them to my mobile home park, and we're going to give a tour of my mobile home park. We're going to talk about how to run a mobile home park, and we're going to talk about how I bought this mobile home park with no money out of my pocket at all.
Yep. How you manage it. And then after that, too, we're going to go get some good dinner, which, speaking of, I've been learning this about Larry. Last night, I had the pleasure of joining Larry and his wife, Linda, for a dinner at Capitol Grill.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And why was it so awesome?
Because Capitol Grill's awesome, always awesome. Oh, you want to tell the whole story, huh?
I want you to tell us what happened last night.
All right, so here's the thing about Capitol Grill. So when you go to Capitol Grill, they have these lockers. They have these wine lockers, right? So maybe it was 30, maybe even 40 years ago. I don't know, whatever it was. My first time I went to Capitol Grill, I was so impressed by these lockers. I'm like, oh, rich people must have these lockers. And I'm like, one day I'm going to have a locker in Capitol Grill. Now, I asked them about it. Of course, they said no. And then I went to King of Prussia, Capitol Grill, many years ago, and they were all filled. And I said, hey, how can I get in the locker? He said, yeah, you never know. You can get on a waiting list. So I've been on a waiting list for King of Prussia for like 5 years, whatever, Yeah. Then I find out Newtown is opening a Capitol Grill. And I'm so excited Newtown's opening a Capitol Grill. So I immediately sent a email to customer service at Capitol Grill. Mm-hmm. And I sent them an email, hey, I want a locker, saying all these things about, the story, how I've always wanted one, and I want one, right?
Yeah.
So they get back to me, they say something like, oh, we'll have the manager reach out to you, which, of course, never happened, right?
I know.
The manager doesn't reach out to you. They don't care. So then, then I, maybe they do care, but, who knows? Maybe they have so many applications. I don't really know.
They just didn't know who the Larry Steinhouse was.
They didn't know who I was. That's exactly what I'm thinking, right? So then Capitol Grill is getting close to opening in Newtown, right? And it's about 3 months before they open, and I reach out to them with an email. I say, hey, once again, hey, I'm really interested in a locker, blah, blah, blah. And they say the same thing. So then opening night comes, Capitol Grill opening night comes, and I didn't make opening night. I made the second day after opening night. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I would go there, and we start talking to the wine steward. Her name's Juliana. And we say, hey, listen, I really want a wine locker. And she goes, oh, we'll see what we can do. They're kind of reserved right now. I'm like, well, I've been asking forever. Mm-hmm. There's like high up managers there because it's a new one and they just opened. Mm-hmm. And we're having a conversation with them. We'll see what we can do. And really nothing ever happens. Mm-hmm. And then I tell you, and then it was funny because you heard me say this last night. I knew that my wife was trying to get me one of those lockers as a birthday present.
Yeah.
I just knew she was trying to do it. And it's funny because I just know my wife. Now, she never had an indication she was trying to do it, but I just knew it, right? And then my birthday comes, and that was, 2 months ago. My birthday comes, and I don't hear anything from her, and I'm like, oh, she must have failed again. Like we all failed about getting this locker, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, now I'm actually, you want to know the truth, I'm actually getting annoyed.
Yeah.
I'm getting annoyed at Capital Grille, not because I can't get a wine locker, but more because they seem like they're, they just don't care.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like really disappointed in it. So last night we took you out, and we had our favorite waiter, Daniel.
Yeah.
And we're talking to Daniel, and, we're saying, hey, we still didn't get a locker. And he goes, what do you mean? And I start talking to him. I'm like, look, this is the story. And he says, wait a minute. He goes, let me see what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls over, I guess it was the wine manager. I'm not exactly sure what it was. He comes over, and he says, I heard you want a locker. I said, yeah, I really do. And he says, okay, fill out this form, and I'll see what I can do. And then the funny part is, as he's saying, I'll see what I can do, he's like, yeah, why don't you go pick out which one you want? And I'm like, wow. So this is pretty serious. He's like, but I can't guarantee it. But why don't you go pick out which one? But I can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
But why don't you go pick out which one you want? So last night I bought 12 bottles of wine, which is what you have to do to get the wine locker.
Mm-hmm.
I get the 12 bottles of wine, and I order them. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have a wine locker with my name and investor schooling underneath it. So Larry Steinhouse Investor Schooling. And I'm very excited about it because I always wanted one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's prestigious. And also, I talk about Capital Grille all the time.
I know.
I mean, if you go to my classes, I talk about the steak and tuna theory in the stock market and how it's all about Capital Grille. And it's very funny how I'm talking about it. I mean, there's some people in my class who thought they opened up the Newtown Capital Grille just for me. For real. It's the funniest thing. It's like, that's the story. So now I could have this wine locker. My students will go there and they'll see it. And I'm very excited about it. But the really cool part is the wine locker lets you have, like, you get wines, and it's like a wine in a month club. And, they put some pretty expensive wines in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think I bought $2,000 worth of wine last night to put in there.
Yeah.
So that was kind of nice. But then you go there and you go into your wine locker and they pull out the wine for you. So it's really, really neat to have this wine locker. So we will see if it comes through.
I think it will.
Excited. I think it will too.
I think it will because you went in there, you put down all the wines that you want,
right,
and then you also laid down the credit card.
Right. I laid down the credit
so,
card,
like,
exactly,
if they
right.
have the credit card, they're gonna run it.
Right. Exactly.
No, that was a lot of fun. It was cool. I felt like a mother, a proud mom. I was taking all the pictures and the videos because I had no idea it went back that far. That we've been trying over and over again for that long of time just to obtain one.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's right. There's only a few, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. And there's some prestigious people. There's doctors. There's lawyers. There's banks. So we'll see. So investor schooling should have a wine locker, and that'd be very exciting if we do.
Yeah.
And I will continue to patronize Capital Grille because it is my favorite steak. Did you have a good steak?
It was really good.
You had never been there before, right?
Never.
I know, isn't it? It's great.
I learned a lot about just meat in general.
Yeah, right? Yeah, Daniel, my waiter over there, he's like, he's assigned to us.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we go, we have him.
Yeah.
And I tell you, he really knows his stuff when it comes to steaks.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is important.
You know what I found was amazing? You know how much the waiters make there?
Actually, no.
They make over 6 figures as waiters.
For real?
Yeah, isn't it amazing? Now, they probably make very little as an hourly, but remember, this is Capital Grille, right? So, my average bill is about $500 for me and my wife.
Yeah.
Last night it was $540 with you there.
Wow.
But, remember that we didn't eat much.
Mm-hmm.
We had a steak, we had some sides, and we had one appetizer. I usually get they have this big seafood platter that I usually get as an appetizer.
Yeah.
But for 3 people, it's kind of rough to get that.
Yeah.
So my average bill is about $500, especially with alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And we only had 1 bottle of wine last night.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't drinking much because I knew I'm going away and I didn't want to get sick. And sure enough, what's happening? I'm getting froggy because of you.
Because of me? Hey, you know what? I live in Florida. I never get sick.
Oh, yeah, sure. You think that's the reason I get sick because it's cold weather?
It's cold weather up here.
No, that's not the reason.
You said, hey, Hannah, come up to Philadelphia in January. Let's record some content. And then next week, Chris Noggle says, hey, come up to Buffalo, New York, and let's record some content, too. I'm like, guys, there's a reason I live in Florida, okay? Leave me alone.
Well, you could either that or you could move us. You could buy me a house down there and I can go there.
We were talking about that. You should really be a little snowbird come down during the winter months and then go back up.
So here's the problem. The problem with that is investor schooling, right? I have
know.
to be here every week and teach class now. Almost every week. I can't, not every week.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be here almost every week to teach class. So, for me to go to Florida for 3 or 4 months just wouldn't work.
Tough.
So you know what I do instead, right? I go on cruises.
Yeah, and you can always zoom. Well, and cruises last for about a week. Do you go a week or 2 weeks?
Yeah, I go weeks. I've gone on 12-day cruises, but I think we went on 2 ever.
Yeah.
But most of the time we're doing 1 week cruises. We just did one we did like 3 days. We're going on 1 week. We're going on a 1 week cruise next week to the Marketers Cruise. Mm-hmm. So the Marketers Cruise is a lot of fun. If you've ever been on a Marketers Cruise, there's 450 people that we all know to get together. Mm-hmm. And we talk about marketing and we talk about our businesses, which is kind of fun. And it's nice to have other people on board that you know.
Mm-hmm. I know. And then also just being around those like-minded people too. I've just noticed that on cruises, it's not my favorite because I don't like being stuck in the middle of the sea, first of all. Drop me in the middle of the woods somewhere with no cell phone reception. I'm cool. Yeah. I'll be chilling out there. But it's different when you do go on a marketer's cruise because like back in the day, Pops, when he was in the chiropractic business, he would sell isogenics in the office.
Oh, okay, sure.
Right? So there was isogenics cruises.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And I remember that. The first week, it was an isogenics cruise, and then actually Pops extended it out a week, and just myself, Zach, my younger brother, Mom, and Dad. It was just us. But let me tell you, 2 weeks on a boat, that was just a little bit too long.
Well, go for 4 days. Go for 7 days, and I think you'll like it.
Yeah. But just the people that I just remember the conversations.
But then again, you're too young for a cruise, Old people like me go on cruises. Young people like you, you go dancing.
That's right. Listen to music. Hey, so this is what I want to talk about today.
Sure.
Because this is a question that I get a lot. And two, because of how low the interest rate environment was.
How low can you go?
But how low the interest rate environment was for a long, long time. Folks still have mortgages of 2.8%, 3.2%, 4.7%, right? Yeah. And so the question becomes, should I pay off my mortgage or should I invest my money?
Right.
And I know this is a very layered question because there's no just one silver bullet for everybody, right? But I guess what does paying off your mortgage early mean?
Okay, so this question, it's funny. I get this question asked a lot, which is interesting. Like when I do my radio show, I get this question asked. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you the number one reason that you should pay off your mortgage if you want to, right? Some people like fear debt, right? They fear debt and they fear that they shouldn't be in debt and they shouldn't owe anything on their house, and they're like, okay, if I pay off my mortgage, I'm comfortable and I'm secure. Mm-hmm. Now, honestly, that may or may not be true, right? But if you feel it's true, it doesn't matter. If that's what you feel you want to do, pay off your mortgage. Mm-hmm. Right? But you also have to understand, a lot of people like paying off their mortgage. First of all, let's say they have a $300,000 mortgage. They have a 30-year amortization schedule. The reason they took that mortgage out in the first place is because they didn't have $300,000.
Yeah.
So if they don't have $300,000 to pay off the mortgage, then maybe they can't pay off the mortgage. Mm-hmm. But my personal opinion is if I had $300,000 in the bank and I was going to go buy a house and I needed $300,000, I'd sooner borrow it from a bank and use that $300,000 to invest that money elsewhere.
Yes.
Now, the funny part is I've done that so many times that I've actually, I should say I paid off my house, but I still have a small HELOC on it. Yeah. So I've actually paid off my house, and I don't have another loan on it, but I have a small HELOC on it that comes and goes. Sometimes it's 0, sometimes it's 150, sometimes it's 0, sometimes it's 150, sometimes it's 75, whatever. But it's just the HELOC, so I can use that money when I want to. Mm-hmm. But I really have in my house, and I have $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 worth of equity in my house that I could tap into that I just don't.
Yeah. And
it might be a good idea if I did, but at the same time, I'm just lazy and I have money. I have access to money elsewhere, so I find money all different other places. By the way, you know what my credit card amount my borrowing amount capability?
No, tell me.
On credit cards is now?
What?
It is now $1,150,000.
Yeah.
So I can borrow on credit cards $1,150,000. Now, should you go buy a house with that? Probably not.
Mm-hmm. But you could.
If you can, right? I can. And also, there's another thing. Not only can I, if I need to, I can. Mm-hmm. So when I say if I need to, you know what that means? That means if somebody has to, if somebody has a deal and they have to make it now, and if I have to make that deal happen now and I can't wait, I can get that money from a credit card. And it's amazing because I've done it. I don't know about you, if you ever bought a house with credit cards.
Well, get this. Actually,
but I've done it.
That same exact example. So one of our borrowers called us up this week, and the bank is taking a long time to close right now.
Sure.
And so he says, hey, if I need to, can I borrow $1 million? I'm going to have this money for 7 days,
right,
maximum. And then by doing so, I'll give you a point.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And you could do the same thing. I could take that money from the credit cards. Let's say that I don't have the liquid cash right now. My money's in other deals. But I could take the $1 million from the credit cards, go give it to him.
Right. The only problem is you're going to pay more than a point for a month on that money.
No, for a week.
I know, but if you borrow the money, well, it depends on how you take it. If you take it without having any fees.
True.
Then it could, but it depends on how you take it. But I do agree with you that there are certain things you can do. Now, I've done that. I've actually lent people money for short-term, for short-term money. But the only problem I have with that kind of thing is you have to be able to do some kind of collateral.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with lending the guy $1 million in this case, right? But I want that $1 million collateralized, even though he's paying me back in 7 days.
Yep.
So if he doesn't pay me back in 7 days, I change the terms. I actually have a whole contract that I write for this.
Good.
And it's a very impressive contract. So it basically says that I'm lending the basics is I'm lending you money for 7 days or maybe 10, whatever. I'm lending you this much money. You're supposed to pay me this much money, and if you don't pay me, then it turned into a regular mortgage at 18% interest a year. And then the payment structure is all there. So if it's not paid in a certain amount of time, and in fact, the instructions on it at the top of the mortgage, actually, the instructions say, do not record this mortgage for 2 weeks. So basically, the title company, they get the money. The guy signs the mortgage that says that, don't record it for 2 weeks, right? Everybody knows. And if he doesn't pay me back after 2 weeks, the mortgage company automatically, the title company automatically records it.
Yeah.
If they pay me back, I usually, talk to the title company up front. They say, listen, if I don't, I'll call you and let you know, whether to do this or not. But I simply call them back and say, listen, it's been satisfied. Here's the satisfaction. Don't record it. We're all good.
And that's some of the stuff that we will be talking about in Tampa coming up,
absolutely,
too.
yeah.
But hey, paying off your house, though, okay, so this is like a big thing, because some of my mentors will always say, well, hey, what good does it do paying off your house than just putting the money back inside of your floorboards, right? You've probably heard that expressed before.
Sure.
But does paying off your mortgage lock up too much capital?
Again, it's relevant, right?
Yeah.
Most people, the biggest asset that they own is their house.
Yeah.
Right. So if they have a $500,000 house, for example, and it's paid off, they have a $500,000 in this house, and then $500,000 is maybe growing by 5%. But if you took out $400,000 of that $500,000, the $500,000 is still growing by 5%. But it's what you do with the $400,000 that makes the difference.
Yes.
So if you could get an asset that's growing also at 5% at that $400,000, well, hey, now you have an asset growing at 5%. You have an asset growing at 5%. Now you have $900,000 working for you instead of $500,000 working for you.
Yep.
Which, by the way, is exactly how the whole life insurance infinite banking policy works. People don't understand that infinite banking does not have to just be whole life insurance. But whole life insurance is a really great vehicle for it
because of the features
other
and benefits.
Advantages, right? The other advantages like tax advantages and so many other things. You can get the money really fast. You don't have to apply for a loan on your life insurance policy. They just give it to you. It's built into the policy docs.
Well, to be clear, you got to request the money.
Well, yeah, of course. But that's it. I mean, it's a simple form. You put your name down.
Yep, but
you put your address down, and the next thing you know, you got a check coming in the mail.
Yes.
I just got a bunch of checks.
You did? From your policies?
Yeah.
Who'd you get your policies from?
Oh, this company called the Money Multiplier.
Hey, so if I don't then pay off my house, or maybe I go, I guess we go both directions though. But let's say that instead of me taking the liquid cash that I have in the bank and going and paying off the house, what would I be doing with the money instead? What are some of my different options I could be doing with the money?
Well, you could buy other investment properties, which I think is a really good idea. But you know what? We were talking about this on a radio show the other day. Do you know what the absolute best form of passive income is?
I think lending.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. The best form of passive income is lending money to real estate investors, right? Now, the funny part is like, oh, I've never done that before. I wouldn't.
Or how do you find these people?
Well, finding people is easy.
Yes.
Because every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to borrow money for a real estate deal, right? So once you understand how to do it, it doesn't, not who to do it with.
But, and that's it, because you really can't lose, in my opinion, if you totally protect yourself.
It right.
Yes, because, for instance, I'm never going to loan somebody up to 100% of the value. If your property comes in appraised at $250,000 and you call me up 50, I'm not going to do it.
Well, you might.
But
depending on
go ahead.
Depending on what the person wants to do with that property.
True.
I mean, if the ARV in the property is $400,000, and you know the person's definitely going to renovate it, and he's going to renovate it, it's worth $400,000. Yep. Yes, you're taking a small risk in the beginning. So $250,000, he's buying for $250,000, you're lending him $250,000. You're taking a small risk in the beginning, and the risk is, will this guy do what he said he's going to do?
Yeah.
And what he said he's going to do is he's going to renovate the property, right?
Yeah.
Now, if he doesn't do that, your risk is probably 10% of your money, maybe a little bit more, but not much. So you're never going to lose all your money. Never. That's not going to happen unless you messed up on some other things. But we teach at investor schooling. We teach how to do the paperwork. We teach how to do a mortgage. We teach how to record the mortgage. We teach how to underwrite the property. But again, we have this situation, right? So now you lend $250,000 and somebody's going to renovate the property.
Yeah.
Now he starts renovating, right? He's now put in kitchen cabinets. He's now put in a granite countertop. It's not finished yet, but he's put that in. He's now renovated 2 of the 3 bathrooms, right? Now, if the accurate ARV is $400,000, and he's somewhere in the middle of the project, and he's already done a lot of the most important things, what's the property worth? Maybe it's not worth $400,000. Maybe it's worth $320,000 now, right?
Yeah.
So that's the point. You have to make sure you understand the intention of the person buying the property. Yeah. If the intention of the person buying property is renovating it, and you know the guy is going to renovate it, and maybe he's had some experience renovating it, or maybe he's working with people who do have experience with renovating it, you know that. It may not be so bad to lend 100% of the property, but it's a rare incident. You're right, it's a rare incident. But here's the other thing too: if he's buying the property at $250,000, but the property is worth $350,000, who cares, right? So it doesn't matter. It's not like a bank where I'm sorry, but the purchase price is $250,000. I don't care what it's worth. I don't care that the appraisal came in at $350,000. You're borrowing $250,000, and if you're buying it for $250,000, we're only going to give you 80% of $250,000. So the banks don't work that way. But but borrowing money from a person, it can work that way.
Yes. And bringing it to, what about this? Because the differences between the amortized interest and maybe the simple interest like that we earn in lending deals, an argument could be, well, hey, I would rather take this money, go and pay off my mortgage, so then I'm not spending buku bucks, is what I like to say, or the volume of that interest in those earlier years that are going to the bank. I'd rather go do that than go put it into lending deals. So, historically, how would you say that investment returns compare to average mortgage rates?
So I'm confused. You're talking about lending money to somebody? Or you're talking about borrowing money? I'm a little confused by your question.
Oh, yes. So I guess back to my example of, if I were to let's make believe that my the rest that I have to pay off on my $300,000 in cash right now,
Lend it to me.
And let's say that I've only had this mortgage for 2 years. Some people would argue that I should take this $300,000, just go pay off the house because of the volume of the interest that I have to now pay to the bank. That would be better in the long haul. I don't know. You'd have to go run the math on all this. So that would be better, is maybe what one person would say, versus if I take this $300,000 and go give it to a borrower and do like a private lending deal. Okay,
so there's a bunch to unpack here. First of all, I mentioned it before. If people, they want to pay off their house, they can.
Yeah.
But here's one of the funniest questions that I always ask people, right? When somebody gives you advice, like, you have your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your best friend, some guy in the street whatever, right? And he's saying, you should take the $300,000 and pay off your mortgage. My next question to him is, are you a millionaire?
Yeah.
Right? And if he says no, I look him square in the face. I say, thank you for telling me exactly what not to do. Right? Because how could this guy even understand what you're contemplating when he's never been in a situation? So let's disregard what people say. Now, if Hannah said to you, you should pay off your mortgage, or I say to you, you should pay off your mortgage, it's different. It's a different weight.
Yeah.
Right? Now, again, the only time I tell people to pay off their mortgage is if I don't care, I want to be comfortable, okay, pay off your mortgage, which I'm not a fan of, but do it, right?
Yeah. Because you can't really put a price on a peace of mind.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
Exactly, right. But I also say if you're going to do that, at least take out a HELOC now. Now, you don't have to use the HELOC.
Yeah.
So let's say you pay off your $300,000 mortgage, you get a $250,000 HELOC, and at least you have the HELOC. So if you change your mind, you now have access to that money instantly. So if you're going to pay it off, immediately apply for a HELOC. So if you say, hey, you know what, I wish I kept that money because all of a sudden I needed it for something, you have it. All you have to do is write a check on your HELOC because you probably, there's an old saying, right? Apply for money when you don't need it because when you need it, you can't get it.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
So that's why I have all these credit cards too. I have $1,150,000 worth of credits on credit cards because I know that now they'll give it to me. By the way, it's funny, they almost never give it to me now. I get turned down for more credit cards a month than most people ever apply for in their entire life.
Yeah.
So I find it very funny that happens. But the biggest problem I have with credit cards right now is finding one I don't have.
And because you have to keep them all open. You put like
right,
one.
You have to use them a little bit, right?
Have to use them a little bit? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you kind of like filter them out? Like what do you do? Do you have like a big rubber band and then you just like put one in the back of the assembly line?
So it's funny. So I have a big case, it's a business card case.
Yeah.
And they're all in there. And there's just there's just barely enough room for one or two more.
Almost like Pokemon cards or baseball cards.
Yeah,
You have
exactly,
yours with the credit cards.
Right. And then what I do is I swap them out. I never, every once in a while I get a notice from the credit card company, hey, if you don't use your card soon, we're going to take it away. Some of them don't even give you notice, which I really hate. So Capital One's notorious for this. They'll just lower your credit limit and it's like, oh man. But because I have $1,150,000 worth of credit, I don't care. If somebody takes away $50,000 from my credit line, all right, they took away $50,000 from my credit line, big deal.
Yeah.
But I'd like to have it. That's all.
Hey,
I mean, I've had about $100,000 worth of credit lines taken away.
Wow.
Because credit cards, decided that they said, hey, wait, you have too much credit, or something, or whatever. But nothing because I've ever missed a payment. If I ever miss a payment, that whole thing falls apart.
Yeah. No, I know. What about, as you were talking, I kind of wanted to ask you this. Do you have, or I guess maybe I should ask, how important is it to have good relationships with a bank in your hometown or elsewhere around the country? Do you have those important relationships, and how important is it?
So when I was your age, the banker, the actual branch manager made all the decisions. So it was really important. It was, the branch manager made decisions up until, except for mortgage, they pretty much said, yeah, we'll give it to you. Yeah, we won't give it to you. So it was really important then. Now it's not as important, but I'll tell you what. I have relationships with banks because things happen, right? Maybe I bounce a check, or maybe I need to open a new account. I want to have the branch manager go through this with me. So I do like that. It is important to me to have a relationship with a bank, and you really should try to have relationships with banks. That's my opinion.
Gotcha. And what about how much of your net worth should you tie into real estate? Or maybe even a better question, and I guess what we should do maybe tonight, because y'all, Larry does have a mastermind every Monday night, right? Is that 6 o'clock every Monday?
Right, so it's every Monday night, but it's for our students. So the mastermind is for our students or for potential students.
Okay.
On Thursday night is class. Yeah, so Thursday night is class.
Okay. And so like tonight, one thing that could be fun, because especially where we're at right now, having this conversation, Q1 of 2025, I've been having the conversations with myself that I need to diversify more than what I'm doing.
You need to buy some real estate.
And so how much of your net worth should be tied into real estate?
A lot of it. So as much as you can. Now, not 100%.
Mm-hmm.
70, 80, 90%, that would be me, actually. My net worth, almost all of it is real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do have, enough money in stock options account. I trade stock options. But as far as, like, because it's very low risk for real estate, and that's the reason. And plus, if you're buying it the way I teach it, which is zero money out of your pocket, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, it becomes, your real estate becomes your net worth.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could walk in, so somebody right now has a zero net worth, like, maybe $10 in their pocket. That's all they have in their name.
Mm-hmm.
And they start buying real estate with no money out of their pocket, right? They bought a property that's $300,000 asset. Now, maybe it's only worth $300,000. They owe $300,000. That still is net worth of zero.
Mm-hmm.
But next year, it goes up a little bit. And the year after that goes up a little more. The year after that goes up a little more. Meanwhile, they're paying the mortgage down.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, they're building their net worth by having somebody else build their net worth for them.
Yeah.
And you know what somebody else building your net worth for you is called?
No.
A tenant.
Oh, I get you.
Right?
Yeah.
So I have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people go to work every day to pay my mortgages.
Yeah.
And I like it that way.
Yeah.
So all these people are building my net worth for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say what I like to do is, as y'all know, listening here on the Money Multiplier podcast, is I use my policies for anything and everything that I'm buying.
Absolutely.
And matter of fact, on my last episode, I know I talked about even this new policy that I'm looking at to start $10,000 a month into my 8th policy.
Nice.
And through all of that, because here's my biggest thing. I was actually just on a television station in Sacramento, California. And one of the things that we were kind of talking about is that literally on air, I ripped a $100 bill in half. People were shocked. They were shook that I did that. But what I talk about is that, how we have to exchange this currency for something of value, aka what are investments, but then also how to keep the money that you are spending, right? And so one of the questions that the TV host asked me, she says, well, hey, you should pay yourself first. How much should you pay yourself first? And I answered on air, 10%. And that really comes from my mentors. And if you've ever read the book, The Richest Man in Babylon,
absolutely, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So 10% is great, but let me tell you something. After we had dinner last night, I went back to my hotel room and we had to do some stuff, my father and I. And so I literally spent about like 45 minutes on the phone with Dad last night. And he says, hey, I loved your interview, but it's not 10%. It should be everything that you are spending needs to run through, or it has to run through somebody's bank or somebody's hands.
Sure.
So why don't you just have that cash flow go through your privatized banking systems on yourself rather than the bankers and these other financial advisors, institutions that are making on you? So, hey, I like what you said, but in all honesty, it should be everything and anything that you're spending.
So here's an interesting take on that. Nobody would have understood anything less
That's
than
what I told
10%.
them.
Right.
I know.
That's the problem. The problem is, people don't understand what we do.
Yeah.
They don't understand how that works, right? I mean, I move money all the time. To me, money has to be moved.
Yes.
It's moved maybe from one debt to another debt, to my bank account, out of debt, into debt. It's like, money's just moving.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're moving money, you're making money.
Yes.
And it's the funniest thing because you don't even realize how much money you're making.
And money will flow and grow to where it's respected to.
Yes.
That's why you got mad at me for ripping up the $100 bill.
I did. I said, that's bad karma.
He said, it's bad karma. I said, leave that over there, Larry. I'm doing something good for the people.
Exactly. Cool. So I have to bring something up.
What?
So Ed is on. He's watching us, right?
Yeah.
And he said, you ready?
What?
He said the single millionaire chick is on. So, right? So I called you that, I don't know, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? And, and you hated it.
I did. I just didn't, it was me wanting to be a little bit private, right? I don't know why. I think it was just something that I had to get out of my head to really step into it's a brand essentially. It's just
Yeah, sure.
my brand. And you were really pushing that because I remember coming up here, I was going to speak to one of your classes, the Money Multiplier workshops
sure.
that you put on. And I walk in, and on the back of on your TVs, it said, Hannah Kessler, the single millionaire chick. And I said, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? Where's this going to go? And you wanted me to go do like a whole
I think you should do a TV show.
TV
And
show.
we've been talking about that. I actually have somebody who might want to help us put it together.
I mean, I'm down.
I know,
honestly.
it'd be great. I think it'd be fantastic. But,
Yeah.
But you hated it, right?
Yes.
And then you hated it some more. And then you hated it some more.
Yeah.
By the way, tell everybody what the title of your new book is.
The Single Millionaire Chick.
So you actually wrote a book, right? You actually wrote a book, This Single Millionaire Chick.
Yep. And you can find it on Amazon, Amazon.com. It's just the Kindle version right now because really what I'm going to be doing is over the course of this year, I'm going to be adding to this book that
Awesome.
later on I will get it published and send out hard copies. But
And I'm getting my royalty?
I didn't hear anything. Did y'all hear anything, people? No, but my mentor, actually, he was really the one. He was like, oh, my gosh, that's brilliant. That's awesome. And so, yeah.
I'm a very brilliant guy. What do you expect?
You're right.
Right?
No, but it was good. So, yeah, so I've new book is out, The Single Millionaire Chick. And actually, a lot of the content that we filmed today, I was bringing it up, too.
There you go. Excellent. So let's talk about the content we were doing today and all about this this thing we're putting together.
Yeah, so Tampa, Florida, March 1st and 2nd. Moneygamelive.com is where you can go find all of the information. And, we got our top expert speakers in their fields coming out. Stephen Nagy from Private Money Club, Anthony Rushings to talk about first lien HELOCs, how to pay off your house in a fraction of the time. Isabel coming out talking about the residential assisted living, Tom Olson, how to raise private money, Brent Carlson, asset protection, taxes. I mean, I'm really bringing my elite top people, Larry too, to this event where we just want to go, I want to say balls to the wall. That's probably not appropriate, but
I don't care.
but we're going to go balls to the wall, just talking at anything and everything about how to make your money work for you. Because that's what people want, right? People just want time freedom. You can enjoy your work. If you are a cop or a firefighter or a teacher and you enjoy doing that, you should continue to do that. But let's be real. Most of the time people are showing up at their job, their job, not because they like it or love it. It's because they have to because of survival.
That's right.
And I don't want people to live like that because get it, you're going to get until your age like 65, 70 sitting at home and now you're like, oh my gosh, I'm 70 years old and I don't know what I did with my entire life. You cannot get time back. So I think that's why I'm just so passionate about this event.
You will never get rich with a job. Never.
Yep.
You have to have businesses. You have to have real estate. You have to be an entrepreneur and you have to take risk. Look, if you think anybody watching this thinks that they can get rich with a job, why don't you go look at your parents and your grandparents and see if they got rich from a job?
Yeah.
The only way people get rich is they take chances.
Yeah.
All right. I think my voice is gone.
I know. We can pause, and we got class tonight too.
We do.
I ain't leading it. I'm already leading the webinar. Oh, let's talk about that too. Just shout out real quick. Saturday's webinars. If y'all do not know that, your piece of the good life.
Right.
Every Saturday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, live on Zoom, and it's free.
Yeah,
so there's no excuse.
Just go to yourpieceofgoodlife.com. You can sign up for it. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weekly webinar from at 11:30. And we talk about all kinds of good stuff. I'll tell you what, a lot of good stuff we talk about on there. We talked about infinite banking on there. We talked about, how to buy a house with no money. You're going to be hosting the next one, which is phenomenal. And thank you for that. I'm going to be on an airplane, so you're going to be hosting it for me.
Yes.
And I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right. So that's it, I guess, right?
I'll send you my invoice.
I'm gonna put it against the amount of money you owe me for giving you the moniker the single millionaire chick.
No, I do appreciate you. It's always a pleasure. And March 1st and 2nd, Tampa, Florida, y'all.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see you in person.
Yes. All right, everybody, take care. It was awesome.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah. You want to say anything goodbye? You want to say the last word?
Larry has this ongoing joke because today it seems like I've been getting the last word in on all of our content that we've been filming.
Watch. Goodbye, everybody.
Catch you next time. MoneyGameLive.com.
See you, Hannah.
Goodbye.
Take care.
See you later.
It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah, me too. Cocktails after this?